Let us read the first verse alone of the Dhyana Sloka. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Dhyanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayini Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini. So after the 12 years of exile, which was stipulated at the end of the dice, that game in which the Pandavas had lost everything. And also, after residing for 1 year, in a way that they would not be discovered at all. So it was a very tricky time. For other normal human beings, easy to hide. 12 years in forest, okay. But 1 year with people they have to be. Ajñātavāsa, 1 year. Undiscovered they have to be. Which also the Pandavas, along with Draupadi, they had successfully completed. So all the rules which were stipulated were perfectly followed. And then, when the Pandavas, you cannot say requested, you cannot say demanded. When the Pandavas, what can we say? The Pandavas had to receive their country back. But then, Duryodhana refused, against the advice of all elders. Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, single-handed, he opposed all wise counsel. Not only he opposed all wise counsel, he threatened. He said, I won't give even 5 villages. Forget about 5 villages. I won't give even 5 houses. Forget about 5 houses. I won't even give place where 5 people can stand. Forget about that. Even 5 pins. Forget about that. Even 1 pin where it stands. Even that I will not give. If you want, like warriors, come wage a war and take. Let's see. So like that, when he threw an open challenge, still they tried to make peace. Not that they were frightened, not that they did not have confidence in their strength, but war is always not a good thing to happen. And that too, a war of this proportion. What do you mean war of this proportion? the mightiest armies coming together and waging. That is not at all good. And every ruler had to choose which side they are going to support, because they are mighty kings, and therefore they had to choose where they would like to. So it was a kind of national war, world war, what war? Some big war. So they tried to somehow ensure that it doesn't become too, the war doesn't happen. So Sama, Dana, Bheda, all were tried. Sama is peace. Bhagavan Krishna himself was sent as an emissary. Then so many ways by which they tried to prevent the war. Even Bheda was tried. What do you mean Bheda was tried? Weakening the enemy was also tried. Karna, they tried to wean Karna away. That secret which was not supposed to be told, even those secrets were divulged. It was also said, extra you take. The Pandavas were even ready for 5 homes. Even they were ready for just a place where 5 of them can even stand. Even that. Dana also was tried. So when the war became inevitable, then Yudhishthira finally went to his mother, Kunti, asked for permission. Mother, what do you say? Should we go for the war, which is inevitable, or should we resign to our fate? At that time also, Yudhishthira went and asked his mother for permission, because mother was the eldest. And there, Duryodhana refusing the counsel of all elders. And here you see the contrast. The mother said, you are all Kshatriyas, warriors, you are all soldiers. It cannot be that you can say that whatever happens, let it happen. No, that's not what is meant for you. You will have to take responsibility for the nation which is suffering. You will have to, as kings, your duty is to protect your country. You will have to wage a war. And therefore, when no option was left, then the armies all were sought. For the Kauravas, it was no difficulty, because already they had an established kingdom. So they had their army, and Kauravas were very powerful. They collected 11 akshauhinis. That is a traditional term for a regiment, if you want, you can say, with a certain collection of elephant armies, horse armies, etc., etc. So 11 akshauhinis they could collect. Pandavas, through their own friends and through those who were dharmic, who felt the power of dharma is greater than the power of any kind of army. So the Pandavas also, but they could manage to collect 7 akshauhinis. So thus, 18 akshauhinis, the largest collection of armies of those times, of the ancient times. So they all assembled in a place called Kurukshetra. which is there, right? Kurukshetra. But before the war, Sri Veda Vyasa, what great love for Dhritarashtra. Great love. Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Vidura. So these three. So the story and all is there, which you can all. So what great love for Dhritarashtra, affection for him, went to him and said, Dhritarashtra was the only person who can stop, but he also could not control his son. He always, right from the beginning, whatever his son wanted, he allowed. He was blinded by affection, and not only blinded by affection, he was also blinded by ambition. He wanted his son to always have. He was very, very sad that the kingdom was first given to Pandu, his brother. So he always felt that kingdom is rightfully mine. And therefore, it cannot go to the Pandavas. Even though he knew that it is only dharma that it should go to the Pandavas. But nevertheless, he wanted to hold on. As his name also says, Dhritarashtra. One who was so much, Dhrita means one who held on. So one who held on to the kingdom. Rightfully it belonged to the Pandavas. Well, that did not happen. But then what he did? He wanted the whole thing to go to Duryodhana. He could have stood by the side of Dharma and said, Duryodhana, not possible. But he could not. Why? Blinded. He was also blind. And now internally also he became blinded. So blinded with affection for his son, Veda Vyasa went to him. He had advised long before also, please don't, this is going to be a massacre. But Dhritarashtra did not listen. So before the war he went to Dhritarashtra. What would you like me to do for you? I can bless you with a vision by which you can see the whole battle. Staying here in the palace itself you can see. But Dhritarashtra said, I have been blind so long in my life, just to see death and destruction. Why should I get the vision back? I don't want it. But if you can you bless somebody who would be able to see and relate? He chose Sanjaya. Sanjaya was his minister. Sanjaya also was his confidant. And Sanjaya also was his dear friend. He was charioteer, confidant, minister, and friend. All of them rolled into one. He said, can Sanjaya be blessed? But Sanjaya had to agree. Whatever my master wishes, I shall. So Sanjaya was blessed by the vision. What sort of vision was that? It was a divine vision whereby you could not only see the happenings at a distant place, the battle of Kurukshetra, not only see externally what is happening, but you could also see what is there in the minds of others. That was a vision. So, with this kind of vision, to see the happenings both inside and outside, Veda Vyasa blessed Sanjaya. With this vision, you can narrate truthfully what is happening there. Sanjaya also went to the battlefield. And the first 10 days, Sanjaya was there in the battlefield. At that time, there was no, he was there. And then he also saw the destruction of both the Pandava and the Kaurava forces. It was a large scale battle, war. He saw the destruction both sides. On the 10th day, when Bhishma Pitamaha fell, he went back to Dhritarashtra and then gave the news of the death of the greatest warrior of all times, the most noble person of enormous sacrifice, who still till the last moment stood by his vow of protecting the king of Hastinapura. So that great Bhishma was loved by all, respected by everybody, and hated by none. He had only hated by none means what? Everybody respected him. Of course, there were people, there is nobody who will not be hated by all. But even those who had very deep hatred for him, in the heart of hearts, they had respect for him. One classic case of Karna. But even Karna, he finally understood the glory of Bhishma Pitamaha and why Bhishma Pitamaha would always criticize him publicly. Karna had that doubt, why is he doing that to me? And even his doubt was clarified. Bhishma Pitamaha explained to him why I criticize you so often, Karna. It's not because, but because you are of such great power. And I don't want your power to be in the side of adharma. But what about you? My vow binds me. So like that, such a great warrior, Bhishma Pitamaha, when he died, when he didn't die, he fell down in the battlefield. At that time, Sanjaya said, now let me go back. So he went to Dhritarashtra. And when he went to Dhritarashtra, and then he informed how Bhishma Pitamaha was so badly wounded with arrows, and how he fell off from the chariot, and how Arjuna, he gave the pillow of arrows for Bhishma Pitamaha. All those things, Dhritarashtra was filled with enormous grief. And he broke down. He broke down and wept and cried. And then he requested, Sanjaya, can you please tell me all the events which has happened? And then all the events which are happening with respect to the war, all those things in the Bhishma Parva up to the 24th chapter. Bhishma Parva up to the 24th chapter he narrates all the various things related to the war. And now we come to the 25th chapter of the Bhishma Parva. And in that 25th chapter, the first verse is what we are going to read. And from the 25th chapter onwards, for the next 18 chapters, you have what is the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So now we start the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? The 25th chapter of the Bhishma Parva begins with this verse. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Let us read. Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva किमकुर्वत संजय धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत संजय. This first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's titled Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Yoga, you all know, is union, association, connection, is to unite. It comes from the root yuj, which means to unite. So, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Literally, it means Arjuna's union with grief. That is what it means, one would think. But union is not here union with this or that. Union is the uniting with God. So Arjuna Vishada Yoga is Arjuna's union with the Lord through his grief. Vishada is another name for Shoka. Shoka is sorrow. Vishada, Shoka is sorrow. So that Shoka or sorrow becomes a means for Arjuna to turn towards the higher. The Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna speaks of 4 kinds of devotees. Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, and Jnani. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. 4 people, 4 kinds of people, they turn to me. They seek me. Who are the 4 types? Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, and Jnani. Artha is one who turns to the Lord in sorrow. Artharthi is one who turns to the Lord to gain wealth. Wealth again for certain reasons. Wealth by itself is not the goal. But through wealth, you want some pleasure, you want some happiness, etc. So, Artharthi. Jignasu is one who turns to the Lord for knowledge. And Jnani is one who is ever united with the Lord. So, thus you have 4 kinds of devotees. Arjuna turns to the Lord to put an end to his grief. But Bhagavan turns Arjuna into one who seeks knowledge. Artha is one who turns to God because of sorrow. Jignasu is one who turns to God for knowledge. Arjuna, he seeks a solution from sorrow. Original intention of Arjuna is, I want to get rid of sorrow. So Arjuna is essentially an Artha Bhakta. But Bhagavan converts him into Jignasu. What do you mean Bhagavan converts him to Jignasu? Arjuna was, I have sorrow. Oh Bhagavan, put an end to my sorrow. And what is the need? What is the cause of my sorrow? Arjuna's diagnosis is, I am deluded on what is dharma. Confusion has led to sorrow. Something of confusion with respect to the world. So that confusion has led to sorrow. Dharma sammuda chetaha. That is Arjuna's diagnosis of his problem. So because of this delusion, I have got sorrow. And Bhagavan, please put an end to this sorrow. But Bhagavan takes it at a very, very deeper level. He says, Arjuna, all delusions are rooted in an original delusion. And what is that? Ignorance of the nature of the self. That is a serious delusion. Today I can tell you this is dharma. And therefore, your immediate problem can be solved and your grief can go away. But again you will have some more problems. Because all problems are rooted in the sense of individuality. When we say sense of individuality, what we mean is that are rooted in the sense of the individuality being the self. As long as that problem does not go for you, problems after problems, confusions after confusions will keep coming, and then you will have sorrows after sorrows. You will have avatars of moha and you will have avatars of shoka. You will have various types of moha and you will have various types of sorrow. And therefore, what Bhagavan does is that Bhagavan wants to help Arjuna at a very deeper level. And therefore, Bhagavan converts Arjuna into a Atma Jignasu. So, among, in the Bhakta itself, even though Arjuna surrenders to Bhagavan as a Artha, Bhagavan converts him into a Jignasu. And very interestingly, with that knowledge, Bhagavan makes him work, do his duty. See, it's all very interesting. Usually you do your duty, gain Chitta Shuddhi, and from Chitta Shuddhi you gain Jnana, and from Jnana you get Moksha. But here what has happened? What Bhagavan gives Jnana, then makes him do his duty. And very interestingly, you will find Arjuna has got a certain amount of Chitta Shuddhi. Certain amount of Chitta Shuddhi he has got. He may not have the ultimate Chitta Shuddhi, but he does have a certain amount of Chitta Shuddhi. And using that amount of Chitta Shuddhi which Arjuna possesses, Bhagavan enables him to gain the knowledge. And giving the knowledge again puts him in duty to gain the perfection in Chitta Shuddhi. And gaining the perfection in Chitta Shuddhi, that knowledge will become aparoksha. So Arjuna's case is similar to us. Do we have sadhana chatushtaya or no? A bit, so probably. Can't say nothing. Something is there, I know for sure, but I cannot claim fullness in sadhana chatushtaya. And to such a case, knowledge is given. And at the end of knowledge, what is being said? Do your duty. So you have the Artha surrendering to Bhagavan, Bhagavan converting that Artha into Jignasu, bestowing him with Jnana, and then saying, do your duty. For the case of Arjuna, it is war. And after duty, what will Arjuna get? Arjuna gets back the kingdom. He did not ask for the kingdom. An Artharthi goes to Bhagavan for wealth and kingdom. Wealth, property, etc. They all become Artharthi, Artha. So goes as an Artha, becomes a Jignasu, gains Artha, and finally becomes Jnani. So in Arjuna, you find all kinds of bhaktas. Very interestingly. So for this kind of Arjuna, when that knowledge is given, so when we say that Vishada, when you say that sorrow becomes a means for Arjuna to surrender to God. That surrender becomes yoga. Here yoga is actually, in the case of Arjuna, Sharanagati. Sharanagati or surrender. Yoga at different levels. So that Vishada of Arjuna becomes a means for Sharanagati. Actually, the Sharanagati is going to happen in chapter number 2. But in chapter number 1, you can see very clearly, yes, Arjuna is deluded. You can see very clearly. Sorrow is there. That shoka is there. That shoka is coming from moha. You can see that. That shoka moha is very clearly seen in the first chapter. But you can also get a peep into Arjuna's goodness. You can get a peep into Arjuna's nobility. You can get a peep into Arjuna's viveka. You can get a peep into Arjuna's vairagya. You can also get a peep into Arjuna's Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. And therefore, in chapter number 1, what we call it as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, you also have the description of the seeker's sadhana chatushtaya. So chapter number 1, you can say, is a sadhana adhyaya. The entire Mahabharata in which Bhagavad Gita is located, the entire Mahabharata is for the 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The 4 aims of human life. The Mahabharata, even though is for the 4 aims, because Mahabharata is like the Veda, and the Veda is devoted for the 4 aims, yet just as how in the Veda the Upanishads are devoted to moksha, you will find in the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is not a Dharma Shastra, it is not a Artha Shastra, it is not a Kama Shastra, but it is a Moksha Shastra. You cannot say that about Mahabharata. You cannot say that about Veda also. Because Veda is for all Purusharthas. Vedas is for the entire humanity. In the same way, Mahabharata for the entire humanity is a Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra, is a Kama Shastra, is a Moksha Shastra, and essentially the Moksha Shastra we find in the Bhagavad Gita. Just as how you have the Vedas all, but then the Moksha Shastra in the Veda is the Upanishads. In the same way, the Moksha Shastra in the Mahabharata is essentially the Bhagavad Gita. There are other also portions are also there in the Mahabharata where moksha is dealt with. For example, Sanat Sujatiya. The famous portion is there, where the teaching is given to Dhritarashtra about the ultimate knowledge by the Sanat Kumaras. So you have the Sanat Sujatiya. There are also a few portions like that in Mahabharata. But the Bhagavad Gita stands as the epitome of the Moksha Shastra. Why? Because the Bhagavad Gita is a summary of all the Upanishads. And therefore, when you say Moksha Shastra, in Moksha Shastra, you have the Adhikari Nirnaya. Is it not? Adhikari Nirnaya. Who is the Adhikari for Moksha Shastra? An Adhikari for Moksha Shastra cannot be a person who does not have Sadhana Chatushtaya. An Adhikari for Moksha Shastra should be a person who has Sadhana Chatushtaya. If the Sadhana Chatushtaya is full, then such Adhikari gains Aparoksha Jnana. The Sadhana Chatushtaya is not full, such a Adhikari gains Paroksha Jnana. And slowly as that Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata improves, then what happens? The Asambhavana and the Viparita Bhavanas also end. And therefore in the first Adhyaya, what you have is also what is called as the Adhikari Nirnaya, or what you call it as an Adhyaya which shows the sadhana. And you will find the expression of Arjuna's sadhana chatushtaya in and through his delusion. That is the beauty. In and through his delusion, how can that be beauty? You see, in and through delusion also, if you abide by dharma, then you are dharmavan. I speak soft words when? Except when I am angry, I speak soft words. That cannot be called as you speak soft words. Everybody speaks like that. Even in anger, the words that come from you are dignified. Then we say, this is a gentleman, we say. Then only such a person is a truly noble person. In Arjuna's delusion, you find he gives expression to the highest nobility. And therefore, hats off to Arjuna. We usually look at Arjuna is deluded, but also look at how Arjuna is mature. Look at how Arjuna is having Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti. Look at that. Look at how Arjuna is also showing glimpses of his mumukshutva. If none of these were there is no way Moksha Shastra can be given. Even though what Arjuna asked was for Dharma Shastra, Bhagavan gave Moksha Shastra. Why? Arjuna deserved that. And therefore, the beauty of Bhagavan to glean into the hearts of the student and to see what the student deserves. Even though what can be asked could be different, but what Bhagavan gives is a perfect thing what is required for Arjuna. All these things you will see as we go through the Bhagavad Gita. Now here, Dhritarashtra, even though Dhritarashtra is asking the question, the answer is given, it is not said, Dhritarashtra Vishada Yoga. Because actual Vishada is happening for Dhritarashtra. But it is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Because Arjuna is a seeker whose sorrow becomes a means for him to seek Bhagavan as an artha, and Bhagavan blesses him with knowledge, converting him to a jignasu. So, Dhritarashtra Uvacha. The Dhritarashtra Uvacha. What is he saying? Uvacha literally means said. But the word Uvacha can mean many things. Said, requested, asked, commanded. All these meanings go into Uvacha. So Dhritarashtra Uvacha, a king, what is the king? The king is commanding his minister. If you keep the idea of king and minister. If you take the idea of king and friend, because Sanjay also was friend. And then what would it be requested? If you keep the king and the charioteer, but there's no charioteer here because he's not taking him anywhere in the chariot. Well, if you keep in that context also, it has a different meaning. He asked for. So whether you say he sought, he asked, he commanded, all of the meaning come under what? Vacha. Okay? Dhritarashtra Vacha. What did he say? What did he tell? Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamakaha Pandavascha He Sanjaya Kim Akurvata. So, Kurukshetre, that is a place where the armies have assembled. And then he gives an adjective to that Kurukshetra as Dharmakshetra. The place is Kurukshetra and the adjective for that is Dharmakshetra. So, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre, in that Kurukshetra, which is the abode of Dharma. What do you mean abode of Dharma? Vasa matrena. By staying there itself, your Dharma automatically increases. So that is called as, different places are there which have got various divine attributes, and we call them as Tirthasthana. You have Kanchi, you have Kashi, you have Uttarakashi, then you have Haridwar, you have Rishikesh. These are all places with divinity associated. And different places have got different kind of attributes. In Kashi, if you die, they say you get mukti. What kind of mukti could be thought of? But there are different kinds of muktis available. Salokya, Samipya, Sayujya, etc., etc. So they say in Kashi, if you die, you gain mukti. So like that, different places, you have different attributes. Here, in Kurukshetra, it's called Dharmakshetra. Why? You stay there, your Dharma increases. That's what it said. So, Vasa matrena. Also, Kurukshetra is called Dharmakshetra. Why? Dharmakshayat trayate. Dharmakshayat trayate. It prevents the decay of Dharma. It prevents the decay of Dharma, where Dharma alone wins. So in that Kurukshetra, in the Dharmakshetra, Yuyutsavaha. Yuyutsavaha, those who seek war. So Dhritarashtra says, all those who have assembled there, why have they assembled there? In order to wage war. Yutsavaha. All of them have taken a conscious decision to fight, to wage war. And for that purpose, what they have done? Samavetaha. Samavetaha, they have all assembled. Samavayam praptaha. They have all come together. So all who are there are finally intent upon war. But then this is Dharmakshetra. In Dharmakshetra, they have come together to wage war. And who are those people? Actually, being the eldest in this for all the children, he should feel that everybody belongs to them. But then the problem of dividing and seeing his children as separate from his brother's children, that malady or that cancer of his has been there for so long. Is it going to leave him here? Mamakaha, Pandavascha. Mamakaha, my own. So whom is he referring to? My own Mamakaha. He is referring to Duryodhana and the others. Mamakaha. Pandavascha. Pandavascha, sons of Pandu. His younger brother. Kim akurvata. What did they do? Sanjaya. Oh, Sanjaya, what did they do? Remember, this question he is asking when? Not on the first day. When is he asking? He is asking on the 10th day. Now, when you say 10th day is asking, already he has been informed about the death of Bhishma. So what is this question? What did they do? They waged war is something he knows already. Remember, Sanjaya is blessed with the capacity to not only narrate the events as they happened there and as they are going to happen also, but Sanjaya also has a capacity to understand, to see what is there in the minds of all those people. So by asking this question, what happened there is not to be understood literally. It has got a very deeper sense. Because what happened there, Bhishma has fallen. And Bhishma has fallen means what? What has happened is very, very clear. The death of the general of the Kaurava army has fallen. That means the tide of the war is also changing. It is very, very clear. Kimakurvata. This would not have happened if war had happened and battle was in progress. It could not have happened but for this. So what is this question, Kimakurvata? What did they do? If it is something which is happening, simultaneously, the battle is happening now and Sanjaya is relating, then the question of what is happening there, what did they do there, is a valid. But then he is asking, not on the first day when the battle is about to begin or anything like that. He is asking this question on the 10th day when Bhishma has fallen. So Kimakurvata means what? Did anything happen in their mind at a deeper level? But how can you think that something can happen at a deeper level in their mind if it has not happened so long? Why? Because the place they have all assembled for the war is Dharmakshetra. Because it is Dharmakshetra, did anything happen there? Was there any discussion? Did anything unique happen there? When people have assembled to wage a war, war only will happen. But this is Dharmakshetra. And because it is Dharmakshetra, did anything special happen there? Which is other than the ordinary. Did anything happen there? Dhritarashtra was intelligent enough. Something unique also happened. Because of the power of Dharma, by any chance, did Duryodhana have a change of mind? Because it is Dharmakshetra. Did Duryodhana think, what is the point and purpose behind this war? Why can't I do what is right and give what belongs to the Pandavas, what I promised? If they finish successfully the 13 years, I will give. Did Duryodhana have a change of heart? Why? It is Dharma Kshetra. The place may be Kurukshetra, but it is Dharma Kshetra. Or did that great Yudhishthira, the eldest son of my younger brother Pandu, did he think that war is not good? And therefore, did he have a change of his mind at that time? What happened in their hearts, in their inner thinking? Did anything happen like that? Sanjaya did not tell immediately, nothing like Yudhishthira went, but Arjuna had a point. He did not say that, because it is going to narrate all those things. Something unique did happen. Dhritarashtra, something happened, yes. But wait to hear that. Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yutsavaha, Mamakaha, Pandavaschaiva, Kim Akurvata, Sanjaya. Oh Sanjaya, what did they do? What did they do? Because it is Dharma Kshetra, did anything other than the usual happen apart from just war? What happened in their minds? Yes, Bhishma fell down, but what all went? How did that happen? Did anything different also happen? Because it is Dharma Kshetra, there is a Mahima of that place. In that place, was there anything unique, something special? Waging the war, yes, they waged the war, yes. But something else, was it also there? Can you give me an insight into those unique happenings? Thus begins, because of Dhritarashtra. We should be thankful to Dhritarashtra. The Bhagavad Gita begins. Okay, let us read this first verse. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kimakurvata Sanjaya. We'll take up the second verse tomorrow.